that bullshit. I'ma put it to you like this, yo.
This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me. I bet you wish you was me, I know it, I know.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Only Friends podcast. We got a juicy one for you today. We're going to get into a whole lot of debate as far as some Twitter takes that are out there. We're also going to read some of your favorite responses to who is this man? And for what it's worth, everybody who said that's Matt Berkey, you will not be read today. No shit. Why is the internet so fucking literal, man?
But really, was it you?
Because they're autistic.
Well, it was.
Is that how you see yourself?
No, it was an AI version of me. If I ever had a hairless cat, I suppose.
Yeah,
That's a parallel universe version of him.
Yeah, that sweater fucks.
I mean, it doesn't, but
No.
You're not a fan of the sweater over the button down?
no.
If he were a burly, muscular man wearing that same outfit,
He wouldn't wear that if he was.
why not?
Maybe he would.
Oh shit, we got you dark.
Ah.
She's fixing it. It's okay.
Oh, it's because we have that open and we didn't yesterday.
Yeah, that's okay. Nikki will close that because that's what her job as EP is.
Oh.
Go, go, go! All right, let's get into a few things today before we get to the bigger topics at hand. We are leaving Big Bear. This is it.
We out.
No.
It's our final day.
Stay.
We
Just
out
kidding.
this bitch.
On
That
this-
altitude is tough.
I haven't slept. I have slept, actually. That's a lie.
I have, but my heart rate has been so high that I wake up like with a high heart rate and I feel like
Oh, look,
a little fatigued.
you're pretty again.
Oh. I'm always pretty.
So all you have to do is turn the lights out.
I feel well rested.
I'm better with the
Feel
lights
great.
off.
I would like to give you a whoop, sir. Because I've slept like a baby for 3 nights in a row. Red.
It's because of the heart rate, because your baseline is lower, right?
My heart rate's higher. My skin temperature is higher. My oxygen level was like at deathly low levels.
Yeah.
It basically said you're on the verge of doom.
I know. I've been reading a
tell you
lot about
something.
altitude because it's very interesting the way how different my body feels, and like I feel a little unhealthy here. But apparently, if you spend like most of your time in this type of altitude, like 7,500, it's like really good for long-term health and longevity and stuff.
Tell us something, Brian.
Ignorance is bliss. I feel great.
That's true. I think that the athletes, what they do is they train at altitude and then they sleep in a hyperbolic chamber.
Yeah.
So we just need a coffin.
We need that.
We need a time chamber like it's Dragon Ball Z.
Not time.
Or
No.
the hyperbaric.
Hyperbaric. What did I say? Hyperbolic?
Hyperbolic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
chamber.
That's your chamber.
Yeah, that's
Yours
right.
is the
You live in that
hyperbolic
chamber.
Yeah.
That is fitting.
Is reinvigorated a word?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So as soon as I got here and I found the theater room, I have been feeling reinvigorated. Now, I talked about this 2 weeks ago on the pod because I was really wanting to buy a $5,000 projector for my house, and I really shouldn't be buying a $5,000 projector.
Tax
So a
write-off.
really small tangent. What do you think your liquidity needs to be to justify buying a $5,000 TV?
5,000.
$6,500.
How hard are you willing to work to get the money back?
Pretty hard.
Right. Are you winning at 2.5? Okay. As long as you have a buy-in, you're straight.
Okay.
It's that easy.
Can you get a used one? Then you only need like maybe $2,500 to your name.
Guapo, if I know anything about you, you have more than enough to buy this projector.
But that's the thing is I don't need
I feel like
a
Guapo
$5,000
low-key rich.
TV. I want a $5,000 TV. There's a big difference.
Guapo low-key secure.
Yeah.
And it's because he doesn't buy projectors.
Right. Well, seems like he's smart about his money,
Yeah.
which
The
is why
theater
he's
room they
asking
have
this
here is
question.
pretty amazing.
Well, yeah,
Right.
I thought you were reinvigorated because you found out that the projector in the TV or the movie room is actually half the price. It's about $2,500.
Yeah, but if you're going to spend $2,500, just spend $5.
No,
But, I mean,
way.
that-
That one's
What?
perfect.
That's what I said. That one
one's
is perfect.
great. How much better
there's
is the
no
5K?
way. There's no way that the $5,000 one is twice as good.
Right.
So you're just. It's just.
Yeah, that's for rich people, bro.
Depreciating dollars.
But the people on the internet say it is.
Yeah, well, the people on the internet,
They are always
they're
right.
very smart and always
Are
right.
they projector salesmen?
Yes, some
yeah.
of them.
Yeah.
Yes,
Are they
maybe.
affiliated with you buying a $5,000 projector?
Probably.
Sounds about right.
Mhm.
Yeah. that sounds about right. Yeah, no, man, I'm all for it. I think that you need to splurge. You know what? Maybe for Christmas this year, little projector for you. Not for me, but
No, for yourself. Buy yourself something nice.
how about on the surround sound? I think
yourself.
sound bars are like reasonably affordable.
It's the best time
Well,
of
you have
the
to get really
year.
good sound if you're gonna have a really good
Yeah, you
projector,
gotta have
right?
really good sound.
So then there's
Right.
extra costs that come with that.
Right.
Might as well just
And
get a new
then-
wing of the house.
If you give a mouse a cookie, then if you get a new sound bar or a new sound system, then you're gonna need new recliners.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
If you get new recliners, then you're gonna need some bitches to put in the
Also, where are you going to put this projector? Don't you need a theater room?
I don't have a theater room, but I'm gonna put it in my. So listen, I live by myself.
Okay.
If I want to have a theater room in my living room,
Yeah, no, it's reasonable.
be it.
Yeah, so be it.
I will be over all the time. We just watching more war movies.
the Eras Tour
Yes.
documentary.
Oh yeah, can't wait. That's this weekend. I'll be there.
At the Sphere?
No, oh man, if it was at the Sphere,
He just came.
my my God, they should have just did it at the
My
Sphere.
guy.
I know
That
the
would have been
Sphere looks
amazing.
sick.
I've
No,
heard a lot of.
it is going to be an IMAX, and I'm very excited for it. The Sphere looks amazing.
The Sphere, unpopular opinion, is it's pretty based.
It looks
Yeah.
based as fuck.
I tend to agree. They made like a big pumpkin and they had it circling.
Well, the inside. Have you seen the inside?
Yes.
Like when you're in the inside, it's like a complete like
Mhm.
360 experience.
Yeah,
it
we're all for
sounds
it.
like really great, but it's not something I want to go experience.
you should
Why,
go
you will be
experience. Listen, I'll buy
overstimulated?
you a ticket to Postcards to Earth.
Maybe
That's
this
what
is
it's
the
called.
play
We'll
for
go see it.
poker. Maybe we just run a major final table there, like the World
In the
Series main event
Sphere?
final in the Sphere on the stage,
be
and then
really
have like the
intense.
whole background. You know, the cards.
Oh, that would be so
That would
sick.
be really intense and excessive.
It would be though.
Yeah, it sounds
Oh,
wonderful.
Be
man.
like flying through space at final table. You know,
People
like,
are just like
ima-
stroking out, having seizures. like-
Imagine the Bally's clock just comes on when somebody uses a time chip in the entire sphere.
or it's the bright blue tournament clock. Everyone's like, my eyes.
That would be really sick if the final table was there.
Yeah. Well, let's see if we can make it happen.
What is it? It's like $500K a day to have the Sphere.
for advertising on the outside of the Sphere.
That's about the same as an advertisement on Tim Ferriss' podcast. Same.
I think I'd rather have the Sphere because everyone's taking pictures of it, and if you do
Yeah.
something really funny or like
It'll
really
go viral for
meme worthy,
sure.
like it'll go everywhere.
How has Pornhub or Brazzers not bought
It might be
the
like
advertising?
there might be
There's
laws.
got to be
It's
some
I
laws.
think there might
Yeah.
be some laws.
It's
It is
Vegas.
There
Yeah.
are children that live here.
Imagine the Sphere just becomes one giant boob.
Doesn't Pornhub just
I
sell
was
itself?
waiting for Goatsy to show up from the hackers. They're gonna hack
Oh,
it
yeah.
and put the guy gaping his ass on
Oh,
the
come
Sphere.
Come on, not like
Oh, so
this.
yours is
Not
okay,
like
but
this.
hers isn't
Well,
okay.
mine's
Mine's just
hackers.
a titty. Hers is like this gaping butthole.
Yeah.
I thought it was pronounced Brazers. Am I wrong?
I don't know.
Brazers? I don't think so.
Brazers. I don't know.
No plugs. We
Does
need
it matter?
ad money.
Yes, not.
Yeah, probably
This
not.
podcast brought to you by Brazzers.
Where do you think they got that name?
I don't know.
How did we get here out of all
Maybe
places,
someone's
man?
not sure.
last name.
I'm not sure. Let's
Let's-
get to something else. All right. We are going to be doing a big giveaway this week.
Right.
If you head over to the Only Friends podcast Twitter right now, it's onlyfriends_pod. You will see a post that we put up that is a complete this sentence with your phone. And it is not in front of me right now. So I don't recall what it is actually.
I hate poker. It's Misread.
Oh yeah.
check.
Yes. It's a shit reg check.
Mm-hmm.
So complete this sentence with your phone. I hate poker. And leave your reply below. We're going to be doing a giveaway on Friday based off of the engagement on this tweet, as well as everybody who shows up. So anybody who is subscribed to this channel that is present on Friday will have the opportunity to win a $4,500 WPT Voyage package, which includes a $1,500 Prime main event seat. I believe the event is taking place in April, and Landon actually had the pleasure of testing one of these Voyage cruises out.
You did?
I did, yeah. I went for 4 days.
You took a date.
Your mom, right?
Why do you do that?
Oh, I
it's
didn't
part
know
of the
that was
bit.
the cruise you went on. I
The
thought you
bit
guys
is I
just
went on a date with my mom.
I said he took a date, not he went on a date.
It's the same thing.
Yeah,
No,
like
it's not.
I took my grandma.
No, keep the camera on him.
No, yeah, it's fine. Keep the camera on me. Like you could say, I took a date to my high school reunion. It was my grandmother.
No.
That's endearing.
Yes, it is. I
Yeah,
agree with
it's
you, Brent.
endearing.
Yeah.
They're boomers.
And it's
He
also
knows what he
it's also
did.
a bit.
Right,
No, I
it's
know
a
exactly
bit.
what I did. It's a bit and it's endearing.
I
Let it
didn't,
happen, man.
I didn't realize
Huh.
that was the cruise you went on. I thought it was just a cruise.
No, it was a Virgin Voyages cruise. It was for 4 days, left out of Fort Lauderdale, and then Fort Lauderdale, Miami. I want to say Fort Lauderdale. But it was for 4 days, went to Key West, Bimini, and back. And yeah, I brought my mom. There was like 24-hour gym, which was nice for me.
Mhm.
For all you gym rats out there
all the
looking to
gym-
play a prime.
Yeah, exactly.
Prime out the sea.
Yeah, so I think the one for WPT is going to be a week long. This was the shorter 4-day version, which just kind of timing wise worked out after the Hard Rock series in Florida. So for 4 days, went on a cruise. Was lucky to be able to experience that. I had a great time. My mom had a great time, and honestly, for me, it was more relaxing than like call it fun, exciting entertainment stuff because they have all of those things on the ship.
Mhm.
But for myself personally, like I was just so ready post WSOP, post Florida grind to just decompress for 4 days and just sleep, eat, and
Did
lift
you hit
weights.
up the buffet?
But you
I
did play
did.
some
Was it
poker,
good?
right? You played some 1-2, right?
I did, yeah. I played 1-2. Oh, this reminds me. Yeah, I played 1-2 with my mom.
Yeah.
I played 1-2 in tournaments with my mom. Oh my god, that was.
Didn't
very-
she stack you?
She stacked me.
That's
She
what I
stacked me.
thought.
She stacked me. I like jammed 7 bigs of queen jacks. She called with like ace x offsuit, which is good. And then I flop a queen and she was kind of sad. And then
Oh.
rivered an ace. And she was like, oh my God. And then it was one of these things where when you're a pro and you understand how variance works, you realize that you can very easily lose in something like poker. And my mom was like, there's no way in my entire life did I ever think I was
Right.
beat you at poker.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, like
That's
not
what
the
makes
first,
the style.
not the last.
That
Yeah.
feeling is what keeps the game alive.
That's right, baby.
That's why we're all here today.
Keeps them here forever. So this particular one will have 2 stops in the Grand Cayman, and it will feature a golf tournament hosted by Matt Savage as well as a pickleball tournament hosted by Vince Van Patten, which I got to tell you is a lot more up my alley now.
You
I was on
might
the fence.
go
I was on the
after
fence. I might
that.
go now.
Yeah.
You know,
He was a tennis pro, wasn't he?
yeah.
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 He was.
There's also going to be scuba diving and snorkeling, fishing, etc. Then there's another stop in Bimini, which seems to be set up for kind of a pool party-esque type vibe. Beach games, Virgin Private Beach Club featuring top DJs and performers, 90 plus poker tables. So they're,
Wow.
I believe, expecting a pretty big turnout for this.
That's
90
pretty crazy.
90 tables.
So everyone there will be there to play poker, pretty much.
I think the cruise is dedicated to it, correct?
Their idea is to try to rent out the ship for the tournament.
Yeah, so with 90 plus tables, you're talking about 800 capacity. I think it's
Yeah.
probably more than one day
That's
one.
huge.
So if it's a day 1A, day 1B, you know, you might be able to hold 1,500 people. 1.5 million in guarantees, and it sounds like it's going to be an experience that also includes some higher buy-ins. I think they have a 5K high roller also attached to this, as well as the 1,500 prime. So if you're interested in playing a tournament at sea while enjoying a little bit of a cruise through the Bahamas, Grand Cayman Islands, you know,
See some iguanas.
playing a little pickleball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can check out WPT at sea on Twitter for more details, or just head to WPT.com. All right. Shall we get into the Twitter Tuesdays?
Get into the mix.
You guys do me fucking dirty on this show, man.
Let's get into it.
All right.
We do you
What do you
dirty.
mean?
I mean, you stopped the entire show because I said you took a date on a cruise, but you had no problems. Nobody said anything to Nikki whenever she put a picture of me dressed up like some evil genius holding a skinless cat.
It's not skinless. What the hell?
Skinless,
It's
hairless.
Just like bloody flesh.
Honestly, if you look at the picture, it's not
Just
a
his
real
muscles.
It's clearly not a real animal. It looks like it's made out of clay. I mean, nobody pushes back on this. I just get fucking roasted here.
Yeah.
So here we are. We got the best reactions to who is this?
Who is it?
What's me in AI form with a 5 head and a hairless cat.
That haircut is really something.
It really did not capture the essence of what my hair used to be. I had the thickest,
Your forehead
nappiest
definitely
hair.
wasn't that big.
No. I don't have a big forehead, but like my hair when it grows out is so thick and nappy and coarse.
Yeah.
Like there's no side
There's
to
no
side
swoop. Like,
slick.
maybe you had a little perm that straightened it out a little bit.
No, it wasn't much curl to it. I don't really know how to describe it other
Coarse.
than it was just very dense.
Right.
You know,
Coarse.
It's giving
wiry
Big
hair.
Bang Theory Sheldon.
it is giving Sheldon vibes. Somebody actually replied that it looks like the long lost casting tape for Stewart from Big Bang Theory. I could see that. He was a sweater guy, you know, kind of adjacent. Didn't mean to jump ahead on you, Guapo. I know that fucks you up a little bit. So the question is, Who is this? My reply was, I don't know, but that sweater fucks. And I think that it absolutely does. To which Erica just immediately got me and said, it's the only thing that does because that guy ain't getting me.
It's just got to be. It's the only guy that does. It would have been perfect.
Yeah.
Sometimes too many words actually hurt.
Well, she wanted to soften the blow because it's,
Yeah.
it's still me.
Yeah.
No, it
Is it?
hurts.
Who
It
is it?
hurts a little.
Does it?
No, it doesn't.
It's not even you.
I literally feel nothing.
AI you.
It is AI me.
You're dead inside.
Everybody else gets these AIs where they look like fucking Hercules and He-Man.
You look like you're busy
Who did
praying.
this?
Yeah, they
You
did
look
you
like-
kind of dirty.
Wait, I mean,
Yeah.
you
They
look pretty
made-
badass on the thumb yesterday.
They
I
made
don't-
you like a weird,
what I'm
like
saying.
white wrapper.
Yeah, you guys did me dirty on the thumb yesterday too.
What are you talking about?
You know how
You
many
look-
people probably think that that's my actual body?
Wait, that's
Yeah.
not.
Fuck you.
Well, remember the one that
Work harder.
You did have one that looked like Hercules, and your nipples were protruding through your shirt.
Yes, I remember.
Yes,
I remember,
That's true. Actually, they weren't even protruding through. Somehow the AI put the nipples on top of the shirt.
Yes, you.
God.
It was like pink
AI
skin
was so
showing.
in its infancy back then.
Yeah.
It was like it's come a long
I was
way in like
I was like, well, this shirt's
6
tight
months.
and he has nipples. Let's just cut to the
It
chase.
was like,
Yeah.
it was like Vin Diesel, but with nipples on top of his shirt.
Correct. Yeah. Very, very respectful.
It could
I
be
have
Vin
nipples,
Diesel.
Greg. Can you milk me?
Brad Clifford says, this is how Berkey thinks he looks after correctly folding a pair. That's actually not that far.
Not
off.
wrong.
Yeah.
Folding a pair is very hard for me. If I do it, I pretty much think I'm right.
Yeah.
And I probably deserve a hairless cat for it.
Not a hairless cat.
Skinless cat.
Skinless cat,
Skinless.
right? My bad. There were a lot of
boneless, skinless cat.
Just a cat, man.
there were a lot of
pile of flesh.
I want to call him Uncle Rico, but that's not who it is. It's Kip. There were a lot of Kips from Napoleon Dynamite with the
Yeah, that's who it reminded me of. I couldn't remember who it was.
I would be interested to see mustache version of this picture. of
Yeah,
me.
we can make it happen.
Well, I'm sure we could. Let's not though. I'm not that interested.
That'll be next Tuesday's prompt.
At Dogman Modus says this is the PE teacher that really wants to stretch your hamstrings.
No, it's not giving PE. It's giving like
I think he's not saying it's giving PE vibes. It's giving a little want to stretch your hamstring vibes.
like bend over.
Well, lay down, let me
Okay.
really stretch you out, kind of thing.
Right.
Or
Sure.
close quarters.
I don't see him being a PE teacher though. I think it's more
Oh.
like a history. Computers.
Librarian.
They used to call it
Librarian.
computers.
If your history teacher is asking to stretch you out, there's a problem.
Yeah,
that is
right.
a
He's the
problem.
history teacher asking to stretch you out. That's exactly what it is.
It's not that.
This one's actually funny, and I don't think it's gonna get the laugh that is drawing out of me, but I think it's hilarious. Ragnar Overby, longtime listener, shout out Ragnar, said, "This is Matt Berkey without all his childhood trauma."
Oh my God, that's actually maybe true.
That guy looks deranged.
He's got different trauma.
What? I was just gonna blow the world up if I lived a happy, normal life?
Not childhood trauma, adult trauma.
You're my adult trauma.
That's like, that's like if you were raised by like maybe like some random,
Mormons.
some
Yeah.
random old
Yeah.
people. in
That guy
Utah.
looks like he knocks on doors.
right.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're here to give the word of the sim.
Yes.
Imagine we did that. We just start going around the neighborhood with like a tablet, right? And it just has PO Sims on it. And we start, have you heard about the word of the sim?
There's a guy in the fitness world
right.
that does that named Johnny Munster, where he's like the Church of Pump.
Oh, he's hilarious. He
Yeah.
does like an Arnold Schwarzenegger
Yeah,
sort of
yeah,
personation.
yeah.
Should
So
we
we
go-
start knocking on doors. Have you heard of the sim? The
Should we
sim
go on a
overlord.
mission, Landon?
I'm not compelled to go on a mission trip. It ain't for me.
I got to tell you, if Twitter's right, we would be doing the world a service by going door to door and offering up our services in, game theory. Because according to Twitter, and I can't fucking believe we're talking about this again. I cannot believe. Honestly, this is a me problem. It's very clear.
Yeah.
It's abundantly clear, right?
It is because you don't let
for
people
sure.
be wrong.
No, well, I would have happily let him be wrong. My problem.
False cap.
No, my problem.
You would have angrily let
My
him be.
problem is not just the statement. It's the statement plus who it is geared towards.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? Like if somebody who recently turned themselves into a 2-5 winner and is celebrating it by saying all you have to do is work hard and you too can win at 2-5. Whatever, man. I'm
that's
gonna
fine.
scroll right fucking past
That's
that.
fine. Yeah.
But Torelli, and previously when Jonathan tweeted something similar, this tweet very clearly, what it's not saying is that the only two reasons you are losing, parentheses, at your current stake or not winning as much as you want is that you're not working hard enough or you're simply not capable of winning. And then the implication is that almost no one at your current stake falls into the category of not capable of winning. So that in and of itself clearly signifies to me that the message is geared towards people who are playing small enough stakes where supposedly anybody can win.
Sure.
Right? Which is very reductive to people who are playing low stakes.
Yes.
Like, there's been a lot of back and forth that we've had with many people, a lot of whose opinion I respect, that are basically reducing 2-5 live. Okay.
Biden's mad.
Relax. Look, I'm passionate about this too, pup.
Chill.
I know. Look, I'm getting to it, okay? I agree. It's absurd. He's seeing ghosts.
Yeah,
I wish
he's
he was in
looking
the
all around. He has
I
no
wish he was in the
could see
shot.
his shot. Yeah. Cut to Landon and Lamanna. Maybe he's in.
It's
probably
the
a back
corner.
of mine.
shot.
No,
Oh,
go to
no,
Melissa.
he's just out of it.
Go to Melissa.
No, he's just
He's hiding.
He is just staring off in his face.
The EP's
right now.
coming down to quell him.
Okay, so anyway, what I was trying to say was that it's so abundantly clear to me that this is messaged towards people who are caught in the fray, caught in the muck, if you will.
Sure.
You know, the people that we are speaking to.
This is our first The Muck segment.
The people in the muck. It's not, but like, I'm talking to you, right? The message is so clearly geared towards them. And of course, it's meant to be motivational and meant to say, like, just, try harder.
Mm-hmm.
And you might have a shot at this thing. But the issue with that, and the issue that I take, is that it's very reductive to the people who are actually in the arena.
Mm-hmm.
And the vast majority of people who are making wild sweeping comments, like, I could turn anybody at 500 NL live or lower into a winning player, or I could turn anybody that plays an average buy-in of 3K or lower at the WSOP into a winner if they're willing to work, just have very little experience with the average person in those
Gen
pools.
Pop.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just like the game is zero sum. The reason that those stakes exist and the reason why people can make a living at them is because the vast majority of players playing them are probably not capable
Not to
of
mention
winning.
how big the win rates for the winners tend to be
Correct.
in live low stakes.
Right. So the notion of if everybody who's breaking even or losing worked harder and they could just not immediately, but like through hard work, could overcome that barrier and become a winner, where are they winning from?
Right.
Yeah, if
Just
everyone
spawns out of
becomes
the
a
air.
winner, then there's no game.
Right. And it's, I don't want to create an inauthentic argument, right? Like, not everybody will work hard, so they'll win from those players, right?
Yeah.
But the point I'm getting at is that the fewer losers that you have in the pool, the tougher the pool becomes.
Mm-hmm.
And the impetus here that anybody can win at these stakes is predicated upon that nobody is trying, therefore it's super soft.
Yeah.
And first of all, I think
if you are at those stakes, that means you're not trying.
correct.
Or something like
Yes, correct. That's kind of the implication. And so, like, first, I think that's incredibly reductive. Secondly, I think it's insanely dismissive of how much this game already sorts for people that have some sort of aptitude, right? The reason why people flesh out their abilities at 1-2 and 2-5 is because it's not that costly, and they can determine if they actually have a skill set worth investing into in this game, right? I don't think people understand like the collective general population of people that are putting in hundreds, if not thousands of hours at these stake levels.
Yeah.
Like, it just seems like such an overstatement of what hard work is and what the capacity of coaches actually are, like the impact that they can make, right? Like, to say that I could take anybody out of this pool that is an average loser and turn them into a winner over time if they're willing to put in the work is madness, because you're implying now that poker is reduced down to a simple template where if somebody follows it diligently enough with enough discipline, they will profit.
Well, it's a very vague thing, because what is the work? What is work harder? How do you define that? How do you measure it? What is working enough? What is not working enough? What do you work on?
Right.
What's the right thing? What's the wrong thing? It's too vague, because you can't measure this person's working hard enough, this person isn't. How do you know like what their capacity to work hard is?
That's what the training site's for, right?
Oh yeah, if you join his training site, then I guess he'll tell you. I don't
Well,
know.
all right. So like going back to why I took an issue with this, it's because of that, right? It's because of the people that it targets. The collective group that will cheer and say like, yeah, today's the day I'm going to start. Like he's right. Like I just need to work harder. It's like you are caught in, you're so caught in this bullshitty rat race where you're just constantly being fed. Yeah, you're constantly being fed tips and tricks, and none of them are accomplishing anything for you. So you might be working really hard, but you're not working very efficiently or very smart. This notion of hard work that, you know, to your point, has created the grind set mindset.
It's everywhere. I mean, you see these guys on Reels and on Twitter, and they're saying, they all say the same stuff. It's like they have AI generate it for them, and it's just like, if you simply work hard, you can achieve your goals. Join my paid group for $6,000 a month, and you can do what I do, is profit off of other people.
Right.
There's like a filter on Instagram, and it's like a Motivation Monday. Like, nobody cares. Work harder.
Yeah, and look, like that stuff makes sense when you're talking about physically training.
Or like in like games where you can win.
No, not even.
Not even.
Not even, because what's the definition of work?
Effort.
Mass times acceleration.
Sure.
Period. We've somehow rebranded
Connotation of work.
the connotation of work into like mindful effort, right? Like
Mindfulness.
everybody who is saying I could turn anybody into a winner, these stakes are so beatable that anybody could do it, yada, yada, yada. They are completely ignoring the fact that the vast majority of people who are successful because they have attributes that allowed them to work smarter. Somehow, some way, whether they had a correct group that showed them the streamlined path, or they just naturally had some aptitude for games.
Yeah, there's more than one path up the mountain, right?
For sure.
People have different things.
For
Some
sure,
people
but-
go alone. Some people have friends.
But the point is, rote memorization isn't going to do it for you. The ability of expending more energy into the game is not going to make you profitable. It is a knowledge-based game. That's why obviously I was being hyperbolic. Maybe that's not obvious to the internet.
Who is this?
But
Of course
when
it's not. I mean,
when I tweeted Alec's entire tweet just changing nuclear physicist for poker player,
So base.
I wasn't comparing poker to nuclear physicists or to nuclear physics. What I was saying is that for most people, these things are not attainable through effort.
It's hard to be a nuclear physicist.
Yeah. So just effort alone won't get you there.
I would be a nuclear physicist. I'm interested in that.
Sure.
But I don't.
Only when you're high and
get
looking at
there.
quantum physics.
All the hard work, chemistry and physics.
They
and
just forget that
all
you get
these
filtered
things
out
that
throughout the process,
Yeah.
right? If you took an intro to physics class,
right,
and
I
you did okay, and you spurned an interest, right? Yeah, you did, right? Okay, so now you take take physics 201,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden it gets pretty fucking hard.
Right.
There's some underlying math that you're not good at.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just don't conceptually get the formulaic approach to creating these experiments.
Right.
Like it's just not clicking.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have an aptitude for it.
Right.
It's like
You filter out.
But if I work really, really hard, I will probably have a better understanding of nuclear physics than I would when I started.
Correct.
Right. So like, I think, your point and the point of the tweets and everything is that you don't. It doesn't mean that you can't get better at what you're doing. It doesn't just right. So like, not saying don't work hard because there's no use in doing it. Right. The harder you work, you might become less of a losing player.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
Or
that's,
like,
and that's
maybe
fair.
you're losing 10 big blinds per 100, and now you get it down to 5, or you get to be a break-even player. Right. So like the hard work will improve your game, but it's not that every single person out there can just become a massive winning player through hard work.
Not everybody.
There is a ceiling for people, for everybody, right? And the ceiling of being a winning player is a small group of people.
And not everybody's going to win the most, right? There's a difference between winning small versus being like alpha in the pool, right?
Yeah.
Winning double-digit big blinds per 100.
However, to push back a little bit, I do think you're underestimating how many people can beat like a 1-2 game. Like I know,
Right.
Let's. I appreciate you playing devil's advocate. So
Right.
let me give you an example. Your mother and your dad. Chico and Mary, love poker.
Yeah.
They've loved it for years.
Interested in poker.
They grind.
Right.
They've been grinding back since party poker days. Do you think with enough time and dedication to the game, they could become profitable at live 1-2?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
think
love
so.
your parents.
Maybe. My dad's a winning player in the small tournament buy-ins on WSO or whatever he plays back in Pennsylvania.
Right.
Like he's a winner in that pool.
Right.
Right. And
But-
just from doing the little bit of research, a little bit of work that he does.
Sure.
Right,
But
which is
that
not a
sample is none.
Right.
Over,
No, I'm not saying every person, Berg.
I'm not either. I'm using your
I don't-
parents.
Right. And I don't think, right. I mean, but
Catching strays,
Yeah, yeah.
Mary and Chico.
Look,
know.
I love Mary and Chico. And
right.
I'm
You're putting
just,
me in a tough position.
Yeah, he wants to say his parents can win. You have to
No,
use
that's
someone
fine.
else.
Well, that's fine because it's actually a lot of what the audience on Twitter is echoing.
Right.
They want to believe that they and the people around them, with enough dedication and with enough study, could also elevate themselves to being winners. Look,
Right.
I think with a lot of hard work and dedication, a lot of smart work, and doing what is necessary, I think your parents are intelligent enough
Right.
that they would get much better. I'm not confident that they would become winners. And there's a lot of reasons for that. It's not just that I don't think that I don't think that they necessarily have the natural talent for it. That's irrelevant, right? What I think it is that there are a lot of mitigating factors that choose winners. Rake is really high in the games that they're playing. They're older. Learning new skill sets at that age is not easy.
Right.
The underlying math is not that simple. Like getting your parents to understand game theory from a sim angle is not going to be an easy task, right? So the big thing is like, sure, they might show a small profit and that's what keeps them recreationally playing. But it's also a lot of like not great record keeping and, just having drawn back to the last memory where they won and things along those lines. If we were actually to give them a large sample, call it a few thousand tournaments in that pool, I think it would be tough for your dad to show a win rate as is for sure, even though he's winning currently over a small sample, right? Because just shipping a tournament might be 25 buy-ins.
Right.
And it's not a knock. Like, I think that
Right.
there's just so much ego involved in the term winner or loser, where you feel like you're less than if you're losing. But if you're playing poker recreationally and it's not your job, being a losing player is the most fun there is. If you accept that you're a losing player, like we all make a joke and say, we play professionally in order to become the whale.
Right. That's not who he's
I
targeting.
guess mainly what my point was is that like if you take someone playing 5-10 or 10-20, take that pool. I think that there's going to be way less people that you could turn into winners in that environment than there are at a 1-2 game.
Oh, I think the opposite.
I think the opposite too.
Because those guys are regs.
Well, not
you're
only that,
targeting
but they're more likely to have like more money, which doesn't always mean that they like have been more successful in their careers. But I think you'll more likely find people who enjoy challenge in 5-10 than in 1-2.
I also think that by the time you reach that stake, you've already proven, assuming that you didn't just
Some people just jump in with
Yeah.
that,
if you just jump in there, fine.
Okay,
Like,
yeah, I see what you're saying.
But the other thing is
because
that-
the people playing 5-10, you're saying that are already on a certain level as compared to the people playing 1-2.
You
who are
should just be
literally
starting
at the
with better.
entry level.
Yeah, but honestly, like that might not even be a good argument because if you're starting with a blank slate, then it should be easier to manipulate. The thing that I think is being overlooked is the implication that what it takes to win is just getting more theoretically sound. There are so many hurdles when you're in that muck stage. When you're at the 1-2-2-5 level and you're just feeling it out.
Oh, got it.
You have to get over the tilt level. You have to get over the mental fatigue level. You have to get over decision
the
fatigue.
conspiracy theories.
Yeah. You have to get over that the game is rigged against you.
Yeah.
You have to get over risk aversion. You have to get over all of these things, right? In order to even begin to take in strategy. So when the simple statement of I can make anybody a winner in these pools if they're willing to work hard enough, you're completely overlooking all the angles of where they'll fail.
Right.
You might teach them perfect theory. I know a lot of guys who are really theoretically sound that are not beating live 2-5.
Right.
Because they're mentally challenged. And that didn't make it better.
No. Something gets lost in the execution due to mental hurdles, maybe.
Yeah, they're just beaten down, right? Like there's just a certain sabotage.
They can't deviate or.
Yeah, there's just a certain sabotage that like exists because their brain is wired some specific way. I should have just said mental midget. That was what I was going for. I was just going for mental midget.
We know.
What?
I should have just said it.
Better. What?
Yes, it is.
It's way better.
Definitely better.
Why does it have to be one of those two?
Because in the moment
I bailed off of that one.
he meant that there are fundamental like mindset issues that can attribute to loss.
Yes.
Right.
Regardless of the other words
Like
being
what
chosen.
I said to Alec, and this is what I believe the message is supposed to be, is that everybody can improve their current state through working harder or smarter specifically. But let's not pretend that that's the same as everybody can become successful or a winner in their current pool.
Right. And
if they try.
I'm obviously not saying that.
I just am having a hard time with this statement because I feel as though it is intentionally vague, and it's hard for me to anchor in an argument because it's like, okay, in your current state, what does that mean? Texas 1-2? Does it mean win like Vegas 2-5? Like what is it? So it's
all encompassing.
It feels so vague
Yeah.
that I'm having trouble even like picking an argument here because I don't feel like it's been clearly defined.
Right. And I think that's intentional.
Right. Of course. Yeah.
Right. You want to reach every single poker player that's ever existed.
That's my point also.
Right.
It's like you're casting a wide net where the only people who will like eat up this trash are the people that are dining on hopium.
Yeah.
Like most people that play 2-5 aren't even rolled to play 2-5.
Right. That's another hurdle.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just like it completely ignores all of the things that would have to be encompassed under working harder.
You're ignoring true professionalism in some regards.
Yeah. But more importantly, I think you're just reducing the game down to rubble where if you show up and try, you win.
2-5 is tougher than that.
Many people absorbing that message will find themselves feeling like they're mashing their head into a brick wall because they don't know what to study.
That's how I feel as a coach. Do you know how many people come to me and say like, I've just like had these moments where like I'm buried, but like then I lock in and I just try really hard and I set or reset someone.
Yeah. It's like, oh man.
I got aces versus queens.
It's like, what are we doing, man?
That's
law of attraction, man. If you think it hard enough, it'll happen.
You can manifest the river if you just try hard enough, but
like,
you have to be trying harder to manifest than the other guy.
There are days that I'm down 10 buy-ins and I come back and book a win. You want to know what I changed? Nothing. Fucking nothing.
Right, the cards changed.
I took a walk because I didn't want to tilt it off.
Yeah.
Or you just like
That's important.
maybe like played in some regards not a lower EV strategy, but like you're stuck a little bit. You want to gamble more, drive some action, get in some hands, and variance picks you.
Maybe that happens sometimes, but that's not even an argument for I took control of the reins and got myself out.
No.
Like that's a detriment.
Yeah, no, you actively made worse decisions to get out because you're kind of gambling a little bit.
Yeah,
we're human.
Right,
We're human at our core.
Yeah, and I would be lying if I said I've never done that, of course. But
I know you've done that. You've omitted hands from high stakes Bobby's room that you didn't want to tell me.
Right. No. It wasn't that.
You didn't tell me about 4-5 suited.
I know. It wasn't because I was like embarrassed. I told everybody else.
He was telling everyone else, but not you.
Right.
Yeah, I 6-foot 4-5 suited.
Yeah.
We chopped.
Yeah. But like my bigger point was that like, yes, okay, that stuff happens on the fringe or whatever, but my bigger point is like the amount of control available to me is simply reduced down to whatever the EV of my strategy and understanding of the game is. Period. End of discussion, right? And my ability to execute that. The execution byproduct or the execution aspect is going to be a byproduct of my bankroll. It's going to be a byproduct of my emotional control. It's going to be a byproduct of my head clarity that day.
How much sleep you got last night?
Like how clear am I in my decision-making process, my ability to execute, your recovery, mate. Mine I opened my Whoop today and it just said he passed away.
Yeah.
Henry, we need to make a
He's been
graphic.
going lower and lower every day, and he's basically a corpse at this
Gotta
point.
get out of the mountains,
the
man.
skull and crossbones just came up whenever I opened it
Gotta get back
today.
to that
Like,
thick
God
air.
Yeah, we need that thick
The reason
air.
why you like work harder / work smarter is to have more knowledge for the spots that you don't inherently know.
Yeah.
Right.
And your EV is going to be higher the more confidence you have in your decisions that are rooted in some sort of foundation.
Yeah, I also want to point out, like, I don't think that we're reaching here with who this message was targeted to. Like, Alec very quickly walked back when Landon challenged it, and he replied in a tweet that said something along the lines of, like, I didn't realize this had to be stated, but obviously I was talking about winners at 2-5. It's like, holy shit, man. How on earth?
I think he meant winning at 2.5. I can turn them into I can make them winning at 2.5.
I specifically said my
turn
post
around,
was
Brian.
catered towards people winning at the average 2.5
Oh,
no
so
limit
people
game.
who are already winning?
Yeah, but that's clearly
Well,
not
that's
what the tweet
very
stated.
different. See, this is why I was like having trouble because it is too vague for me to like. Once if you try and argue over something that's presented as intentionally vague, you're just gonna be like throwing shit past each other because there's no clear thing to argue or debate
What's
about.
the point?
Wait. Before we let him off the hook and say that it's too vague or whatever. Okay, so he tells Landon that his post was clearly dedicated towards people who are already winning at 2.5.
It wasn't clear.
Let me read his post. The number one reason you're losing at poker, like some of my takes, this will be controversial, not what many want to hear, but it's the truth, so I'm going to say it anyway. There are only 2 reasons you are losing or not winning as much as you want. You're not working hard enough, or you're simply not capable of winning. Highlight that sentence. There are only 2 reasons you are losing.
Right.
Or not winning as much as you want.
I think he also mentioned something about 2.5 in that post.
Did he?
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty
Where?
sure he said it's in there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Like 27 paragraphs in. The 27th paragraph
know.
is, I
Whenever
believe most
people-
people, if they truly committed, could become winning 2.5 players or most mid-stake
But could
tournaments.
so that's what
them.
Right, become. It's still
that's
not
what-
dedicated towards winning.
Right.
So, but then he wrote. Okay, so
So he's lying.
I don't know, man.
He's just lying.
I just don't read when people write posts that long. I just mute them
Yeah.
because I'm. It's
Yeah,
enough. I've had
look,
enough.
and that's very fair.
Look, like you and
But
I
like you're
have
caught in 4K.
you and I have had this conversation already, where it's like it's better for the training site program to try to sell the lie.
Yeah, like Brazil God replied to
Yes.
me. He goes, "This is really interesting that somebody who sells training is going to call out somebody saying that students should work harder." And it's like, well, what would you rather have me do? Like lie and sell hopium in something that I don't believe to be true to a bunch of people?
And that's what I was trying to say. Like, because obviously we do have a training site here. We do want to make people better at poker. So like,
So wholesome.
we're not saying that we're not saying that you can't get better at poker through hard work. That's not what we're saying. We're saying we're saying that like every single person out there in the world can be a winning player. That's not reality.
Or every single person
Hard work.
at the 1, 2, or 2-5. Well, in this
Right.
case, 2-5 table.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
there's people who've been grinding for 30 years, and you know that's their main occupation.
There's people that have
and
come to the
they're-
academy that Matt has said, hey, like this is probably not a good idea if you want to do it professionally.
Yeah,
Right.
a lot of them.
Yeah.
And it's better for
And
you
they
to
enjoy
sell
that
something.
They appreciate
Like-
that conversation.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
sure.
Like they'll come to me with earnest trust and say, "Hey, I'm considering retiring early and playing 2.5 for a profession. Do you think I have what it takes?" And it's like a hard conversation of just like, "I'm sorry, man. Like, I think you should pursue this recreationally. And if you find yourself having success, then maybe revisit this idea."
Mm-hmm.
But do I think you should gamble on your career right now? No.
Right.
Of course not. And I wouldn't even recommend that to somebody who I think has a much higher ceiling, somebody
Right.
young who
Yeah.
it's like the best way to approach this at this point is with some level of security or fail-safe in place. When you're super young and you can bounce, like go nuts, man. If you want to gamble your first $10,000 that you earn trying to make it as a poker player, great. You're going to land on your feet one way or the other, right? If you're self-selected and you have a deep enough interest, then you're probably going to find the resources necessary and you're going to have a hard go of it. But if you have enough tenacity and you actually have the chops, you have the theoretical mind, you have the ability to be analytical when it matters, then yeah, you're probably going to at least give yourself a fighting chance.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's going to be up to variance. You might be one of the survivors, or you might be one of the dozens left in the wake that just didn't have things
have
fall
the
their
bottom
way.
5% run. And
Yeah, when
can't
it matters the
recover.
most,
Yeah.
right? But to anybody who's like really, really risking something, meaningful in life, whether it's their career or their family, a lot of their time that's being allocated, or anything of that sort, you got to be a little more conservative with the way that you invest in something that has such a ridiculously high failure rate. That's the overall encompassing conversation we're having.
And to tie it back to his post, that's sort of, you're saying that's kind of, he's encouraging people to maybe gamble on their careers.
There is an insanely high failure rate at poker. It takes dozens of losers to equate to one winner, right?
Mm-hmm.
If the failure rate is so tremendously high, how can we cast a wide net and say everybody is capable of being a part of that select winning group.
Well, it's selling the lie that we're like in control of everything, kind of.
100%.
But like, if only you just did more,
Right.
then you would be successful, which
Right.
is not always the case, but it would be in a perfect meritocracy.
It's true in physical endeavors where work is truly mass times acceleration, right? If you go to the gym and you continually add more mass and you push it, you'll get stronger.
Yeah.
You know, it's that simple. If you're a construction worker,
That's right.
muscle mommy. If you're a construction worker and every day you pick up one more brick than the day before, that house will get built faster.
Because they're not zero sum.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, it's a very clear linear path between objective and goal, right? And you just marry the two through work.
Yeah. I think people want this romantic idea of poker being that there is a linear path that everyone can follow in order to obtain this level of success, and that it's this perfect meritocracy, and it's just not.
We've seen it from polls of how many people that play the main event think that they're winning in the main event.
Right.
Or in general, right? When you're playing live 1-2, you think you're winning in the pool. Where most people from an ego sense, and this is why poker's protected unlike something like chess, is there's no elo in poker.
Right.
If you saw that you're playing someone 3 times better than you wouldn't fucking play. But in poker, you can just make the idea of, oh, they got lucky. They flopped a set on me, and
Right.
I had aces and I couldn't fold.
Landon made a good point earlier. He said, like, if every 2-5 table had an ELO rating where chess does, and you had 3 2,400 players at your table and 5 800 players, most of the 800 players would eventually leave.
Yeah.
Right? Like, at first, they would be like, oh, I'm on a competitive playing field with majority of the field, right? But as the 790 guy realizes that he's now the worst he's going to leave.
Yeah, he looks at his number
Right.
and he looks at their number.
Right.
He's like, what the fuck am I doing?
And now the 800 guy is the lowest on the totem pole, and he's going to go, okay, well, I'm going to have to leave. And this is the nature of poker. We've been talking about this for ages, where it's like, it doesn't matter if you're the 9th best player in the world if you're playing against the 8th bet or the top 8 better, right? It just doesn't make a difference. So it's like, sure, the entry level of live poker and online poker, call it micro stakes online and, you know, $1, $2, $500 mid-stake tournament buy-ins. These entry levels are going to offer more win rate than any other stake level because in the game.
Because perceived elo in these environments is lower.
Correct.
Right? The floor, there could be 400s, there could be 600s, right? But if you're playing a super high roller bowl, where are the 400 and 600s besides people that are recreationally playing and giving the money to charity?
Right, but what's being ignored is that there are
Bill
plenty.
Klein's not a 400. Let's be clear.
But like,
Put
what's
some respect on his name.
1600.
unnecessary shots? What's being ignored is that there's still open field events, right? Like, you can still have a relatively high rated player come and sit in a 2-5 pool, or more importantly, when you're talking about like mid stakes tournaments, like, you know, a $500 bracelet event is littered with really great players.
Yeah.
And they're vacuuming up a lot of the win rate. You know, it's difficult to beat the rake already at those levels. The rake is such a big impetus to win rate in those levels.
It's like there's rake plus alpha predators plus break even people, and then everyone else getting wrecked.
Yeah. Like, a lot of the break even players without rake would probably be winning. Right. But what it takes to get over that hump of rake now requires the losers to lose more.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, the people losing in that game, now the rake just destroys them. Because you're already say you're losing $5 an hour in that game without the rake. And now you add the rake in, and now it's like $12 an hour, maybe more.
And now cue that with not enough money for bankroll restraints, where you run out of money instead of actually being able to make it seriously and try.
Yeah, I think the intangibles are a really big thing that have gotten lost in this discussion, where it's like, when you say work harder, are you just implying that it's important to learn theory, or are you implying that you need to get better at all the intangibles as well? Because if you're talking about getting better at all the intangibles as well, where I think the game sorts for IQ at the theory level, I think it sorts for EQ at the intangible levels. And there are plenty of high IQ, low EQ people that aren't going to make it. There are plenty of high EQ, low IQ people that aren't going to make it. You know, you really do have to find self-selected. And, you know, Alec is walking back a bit now saying like, oh, I guess it needed to be stated, but I was obviously talking about people who have already found a passion in the game and have already
winning,
dedicated themselves and found it's like, no, you're fucking not, man. Your average follower is certainly not out there mashing. They're not on the day-to-day. They're not putting in 2,000 hours as a professional.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we know what the average training audience looks like. They're casual weekend players that want to improve. Make that your message.
Okay.
Everybody can improve through hard work.
Right.
Period.
Nobody
that was my
disagrees with
point.
that.
No one disagrees with that point.
Yes.
Nobody is trying to undermine what working harder and smarter will accomplish for somebody, no matter what it is that they're applying themselves to.
Yeah.
If you apply yourself, you will do better than your previous self that wasn't.
Right.
Period.
Apply greater than not apply.
Right. But where will that compare to the average? It depends.
Who knows?
It just depends.
Yeah.
It depends on all these other mitigating
And
factors.
I'm sure the thing is, like, I'm sure there are people out there who are capable of being winning players that aren't working hard enough. That if they did, they would turn around and be winning players. But it's not everybody, and that number is probably very, very low.
Well, part of I'm sure too, there's a lot of ego involved in saying, I'm so good I can win without studying. Like, this is a very real thing that
Some
happens.
people do.
There's also like a cope thing, and I definitely do this in like a lot of areas. And I did it when I was in school too, where it's like, well, I know I'm smart, but I'm just not trying.
Correct.
But if I did try, I would be this and this. And it's like sort of this like copium thing where you're like, you don't want to fail. So then you say, well, if I did try, then I would be successful,
Right,
but I'm not.
I think that's an
right
important
now.
thing to point out, though, because again, this doubles back to the notion of like what we believe hard work to be, right? And how overstated it is that working hard will actually get you the Guapo falls asleep.
Sorry. I zoned out.
Oh my God. Are we that boring?
I looked over and he was just like rocking his head.
Throws his tired. He's just tired.
I was in the high IQ, low EQ zone.
He
Sorry.
was in the washer.
Throws in the blender.
But if you look at how overstated hard work is, you forget about the fact. Think back to high school, right? And college to some degree, maybe less or maybe not. But think of how many people skated
Yeah.
and were C students or better, right? I was an A student and didn't fucking study a lick.
I
graduated
It's
a
like
3.
flex, bro.
Well, it's not even a flex. That literally is the point.
Yeah.
I did 0.
Yeah.
I barely turned in homework. In college, I never went to class. I graduated with a 3.1. Like the bar for me to quote unquote succeed by the way that it's measured by the outside world was effortless.
Yeah.
Right. And that's because there's just some natural aptitude for something.
I got my IB diploma, which is like hard to get in Europe. I didn't do any fucking work.
Yeah.
Like I didn't, and,
Right.
and it's just a matter of like, I'm lucky that I'm able to just get things done. Like there's a lot of reasons where if I tried harder, could I have done better?
Well, the important thing is that data point on paper would signify that like,
You have these traits.
no, because you would need the details that you didn't work.
Right. They don't
Right.
have that.
It implies that
Yeah.
you can get there through hard work.
It's funny because if you think, like, for everyone that believes in this Alec Torelli post, just think back to high school, right? Just think back to high school and all your classmates. Do you think every single person you graduated with, if they just worked hard enough, if they just
Could've
studied
gotten
enough,
Bs.
would have just graduated with honors and went on to an Ivy League school? Of course not.
Make it even
that's
easier.
like the high
Ivy
level.
League.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Make
Right.
it even easier. Just say, do you think everybody you went to high school with was capable of being a C+ student?
Right.
Because that's slightly above average, right? That would be
Try
winning
hard
in this
enough.
instance.
But winning a 2.5 is more than above average.
Sure, but like, let's just reduce
Right.
it to that.
I would say I would go with B.
Right, but let's just
Right.
reduce it to C+. If you we graduated with 57 people. Do you think if we took the 57th person in our class,
Right.
that they could have been a C+ student with enough work and effort?
No.
It's very unlikely.
Very unlikely.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you just have aptitudes for things and you don't.
Yeah,
Right.
For
Right?
some
Like
reason,
some
like,
of these kids might have had learning disabilities that just absolutely prevented them from ever being a C+ student.
like in,
Yeah.
in sport-
Poker's the same.
in sports, somehow we allow that to be the case. But like poker, we just say like, oh, nope, just kidding. We don't
Well,
know.
because in sports it's fun and professional, and there's a hard line between the two.
Poker,
Yeah.
there's not.
Well, poker
Barrier to
poker
entry is-
it meshes. The fun and the professional play together. You know, I'm never out on Sunday playing D line for the Steelers in a pickup game,
Yeah.
right?
You worked hard enough.
I'm never going to 24-hour fitness and playing 5-on-5 with 3 NBA stars
Right.
and 7 schmoes from the local YMCA.
Yeah.
Right? Like
You get
there isn't this intertwining a professionalism and recreational the way that there is with poker.
That's what makes poker cool.
And that is what makes poker
course.
cool. And poker is also measured in money.
Yeah.
So it's very clear what the line of success is. Are you a break-even player or better? Right? Whereas like all these other things like sports or whatever, it's immeasurable.
Right.
We debate all the time who the best is, who doesn't deserve to be in the league, and we see it just all get filtered out. Like guys who end up like coming out flash in the pan like they're the best in the world, and then a year later they disappear.
Right.
These stories are all a byproduct of variance. They're all a byproduct of, just the game sorting for certain attributes and them not having them. Not everybody is born equal. We can easily acknowledge that, So the opportunities are equal. It's a meritocracy in that regard, but it's not as simple as just like work in, work out. Right. That's just not how anything in this world works, and it's crazy to me that intelligent people are promoting that.
Yeah.
Like, is this really I'm not trying to like turn this into some sort of like political or family debate, but like if you have kids, is this really the message that you just want to pass along? Is that like you, your friends, and everybody that you ever come in contact with, you can all do whatever you want, just try.
I mean, that's
the message that often gets passed.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's basically been the message that at least I've known growing up. It was always, you can be whatever you want as long as you work hard. That's literally what they've taught us since the dawn of time. It seems like.
Where are we now?
I mean,
I think it's different because with poker there is like a clear delineation of winning and losing. Whereas if you want to be fit, you can work hard enough and be fit. Right. There's like things that are less zero sum.
Well, I think it's the reason that's the messaging is that way is to get people to work hard, because working hard and dedicating yourself to things is important. It makes you better than you previously were, like we said. But so I think it gets messages.
But that's a grander philosophy, right?
Right.
Like you can just apply that to things that you've already self-selected for. And I think that is really what the message of you can do whatever you want to do or be whoever you want to be, because you can't. Right? Like you just can't.
Like everybody
can be a professional
Are you
athlete.
saying I can't be in the NFL?
You cannot be in the NFL. I'm sorry.
It's not my passion.
Right.
If it was, and if I tried,
you self-selected out. Okay, and that's fine.
Well, we'll see.
Sure.
You might self-select back in.
Yeah, I might select back in.
But like that's the thing. We gravitate towards things that we show some level of aptitude for.
Not everybody can be president.
Right. Not everyone
Ask
can be
Mitt
president.
Romney.
Not everybody can be many things, right? Like there are just certain things that are beyond the pale of what we're capable of.
That's
right?
kind of what the intelligence as a metric is in something like poker.
Yeah. I mean, and it doesn't necessarily even have to be intelligence. Like we said, we went through a myriad of attributes, right? And any one of them could be the point of failure, right? If you tilt easily, fail. If you are incapable of executing a winning strategy, fail. If you are, you get easily foggy in your head, fail. If you
don't put enough volume.
If you don't put enough volume, fail. If you struggle in social environments where you have to communicate with others, fail. Like there are just a myriad of ways.
Bankroll management.
If you are risk averse, fail. If you're too risk on, fail. Like you have to, it's really the Goldilocks treatment. Like we don't understand how fortunate we are, the ones of us that are winning, to have survived all of these things. We hit the Goldilocks, right? Like so many things went right, and we either self-selected for attributes that we were good at, or we worked on the things that we were bad at through enough positive reinforcement of variance.
And self-selecting also allows for perseverance, which is a good trait to have as well.
Yeah.
Because you might have a lot of money and then tilt and then lose and then fail, but then you're like, you know what? I've learned my lesson. I'm going to be better this time. And then you do.
Right.
Because like you've gone broke infinite times.
For sure.
But you're still here now.
Right. But and I wouldn't have been if I didn't have an anchor attribute that I thought allowed me to be chosen in this arena.
Which was what?
I had a belief that like I was very good at the people skills in this game. Whether it was true or not, like I believed it to be true, and it seemed as though I was reaping the rewards of it. It might have just been a byproduct of me being very risk on and me having a bit of an analytical mind. Like those two things may have been manifesting in my head as I'm able to read people well.
You were an early adopting redliner.
Yeah.
And like now that we realize that you want to start fighting for pots and playing more, like strategies change a lot. But the people that played like a maniac prior did very well.
Yeah. Eventually.
If they had with good bankroll requirements. Because if you put it all on the table and redline and lose, even though it was a good strategy.
Right. And through
you're
that
out.
perseverance, I was forced to get better at those fail points. Right. The thing that I failed at was consistent. It was bankroll management. I was too risk on. Right. So it was like, okay, well, in order to survive, we have to turn this negative into a neutral.
You can't be doing this no more.
Right. We have to at least turn it into a neutral. Right. You have to be risk on to a certain degree, but you have to also have some level of security and basis. It's like, honestly, if you're going to find a failure point, that's the easiest one to correct for. Right? Because it's as simple as like planning. And you know,
Planning's hard.
Yeah, what is being an adult stuff?
It's hard. I want to be washed and changed and fed.
You are gonna get so many creepy DMs.
No, I don't. I think they've self-selected out of that.
Okay, actually, I have a good like mini segment.
Okay.
What do you think? What does everyone think their own biggest failure is when it comes to like the survivorship aspect?
I mean, that for sure is mine.
Yeah. What about you?
Volume and bankroll and studying and and yeah, those are the three, I think.
Yeah, I think mine's volume.
She's distracted.
Right. Mine's volume for sure.
Yours is 100% volume.
Right. Volume.
It's not even
right
close.
now it's volume for me, for sure. Right at this moment, because I'm not really playing.
Right. Mm-hmm. Where it's like there's a difference between the cap, right? It's like I don't play very much poker at the moment. Like sure, I stream sometimes on twitch.tv/Landon Tice. September's over. Point being, if I played more poker, I would make more money. But am I making as much money as I could? No.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not doing my best at succeeding in professionalism in poker.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Like mine would probably be like risk aversion. That's why I'm the tortoise. Right.
It's also why it's so difficult for you to overcome.
Right.
That pre-wiring doesn't allow you to actually tap in.
I'm getting better.
We have to brainwash the tortoise.
It doesn't allow you to actually tap into the highest EV strategies often.
Right.
Right.
Right,
So
for sure.
It'll be slower to adopt things that actually win.
Right. Just leaving so much EV on the table by not making the optimal plays.
Right. And that will repress you. Right. So, for a long time. So say that you financially can play 5-10. And you're one of the people Alec is talking to. Well, it might take you years to get over the risk aversion.
Right.
So you just might be a slow bleed at 5-10
Yeah.
forever.
Right.
And no amount of hard work is going to change that.
Right.
Like what is going to rewire your brain to be able to adopt these strategies?
Being
right?
on this podcast.
Yeah. Takes a lot. A lot of beatings over the head.
Okay, Guapo, your turn.
For me, I'd say studying for sure. Like I love to play, but self-admittedly, studying for me is very boring, and it's frustrating because I don't always understand what I'm looking at. How I should apply
Not in a negative way.
Wait.
Working harder for you would be good.
No, I disagree.
Really?
Yeah, and I want you to flesh that out a little bit more because I think it speaks to the larger point. Why, if you know that there's win rate attributed to you studying more? Actually, you already said it. Like, what about studying doesn't allow you to have the buttons click?
a little bit more.
So you basically said like I don't always know what I'm looking at, kind of thing.
Sure.
It gets frustrated.
Yeah, and it gets you frustrated. What would allow you to ease that process?
I think specifically working with someone who understands Sims and I can't really find the word, so I'm just going to use it the way I would want. Just someone to be able to dumb it down for me. Like when I look at a Sim, I look at spots where like I have a really hard time finding bluffs.
Yep.
So when I look at a Sim, the spots where it's showing up with bluffs, I'm like, I don't have this.
Correct.
And I want to understand how the computer is finding these specific hands to use as bluffs. And sometimes when I speak these things over with people who are studied, again, I get a little bit, not embarrassed, but it's still going over my head. And that is the frustrating part for me. It's not like I work really hard, but I think I'm just kind of like beating my head into the wall because it's just not making sense.
You're completely speaking to the impetus of why I was so frustrated with that tweet. Because the notion that those of us who can easily communicate to those people who cannot is such a fucking lie. It's a hard game.
Like a smaller metric of this would be like I got really good grades in high school, and I got good grades in college, but it wasn't because I could read the material and then go, oh, like this makes sense. It's because I had to read the book once, then I had to read it again, then I had to take notes, then I had to study those notes, then I had to read the book again. Like it wasn't because it was just
right
coming to me. It's the same thing with game theory. I've played Werewolf a dozen times. And even now, I still like I don't know what I'm.
Right. So that's the issue that I think is worth speaking to, because in the college and high school aspect, right, the path was very clear. The expectation for you to do well was preset by the material. And though it may have felt like daunting material at the time, it was very limited in its scope, right? It's only going to be a handful of chapters. It's only going to be certain things on the test. You're going to get an idea ahead of time exactly what to study for the test, etc. They make it as easy as possible to fail or to pass, right? Whether or not after the test you were proficient in that subject is a totally different thing. So of all the tests that you took, all the subjects that you studied, etc., how many of them do you feel like today you're still proficient in, or you were ever proficient in?
Not many.
Right, because you just got good at gaming the test, right? And you had to work really fucking hard specifically to streamline gaming test taking. Poker doesn't
gaming,
work
you
that.
mean just getting a good grade.
Correct.
Right.
And then forgetting everything that you want, right?
Absolutely.
Poker does not work that way. It builds upon itself. So if I teach you something about the fundamentals of game theory, some principles, right? We start talking a little bit about SPR. We start talking about the value of position, EV. I just teach you EV, something like that, right? And I test you on it and you do well. And we move on. But the truth is you just memorized what you needed to memorize to take that test. And now you've stuck a pin in it and moved on, right? You don't actually have that foundational knowledge. Everything thereafter is going to be infinitely more complex because you don't have that anchor to defer back to. You never truly internalized it.
It's predicated on understanding the base.
Exactly. And not everybody is wired to think in an analytical, EV predicated mindset, right?
Patterns to some are not the same as patterns to others.
Exactly. Exactly. Logic is going to be strong for some and not for others. Arts is going to be like, you may be able to look at a Picasso and just like see depth that I personally could never fucking see. I just see a bunch of colors on it. Yeah, I just see a bunch of colors on the wall. It's like, I don't fucking see anything. And you're just like, oh no, the detail here and like this brush stroke and like it's very clear he was trying to, not me.
You're losing me, bro.
I can't interpret that, and nothing you say or do or teach me will change that. Right? Like my eyes.
I think if you worked harder, you could understand.
Yeah, I guess.
But I think that, like there's like
you can understand it a little bit better.
I can understand a little bit better.
Right.
I'll never be an art critic.
Right.
Sure, but I think that was kind of where I was going with the
Same
work
with music.
The work ethic-esque is that he can still. It's not like he's completely capped. Right?
Correct.
You're gonna get better slowly, and that's good.
Someday, somewhere down the line, there might be a light bulb switch. Sorry, I don't mean to speak about this like it's specific to you, Guapo. Like,
Guapo.
You're already. The thing is that it's the notion of subconscious consciousness versus subconscious competence versus conscious competence, right? And clearly, Guapo has a subconscious competence for a lot of the things that we're talking about. He wouldn't win at poker if he didn't.
Winning at 200 online, which is hard.
Right.
Hard to do.
Right. He would never be able to do that if he didn't have some sort of underlying conscious or competence at this. But bringing it to the conscious.
Like being able to know why you're doing what you're doing versus the I don't know.
Being able to just look back and say, oh, because of, this, that,
I know
or the
this
other.
size is 75, it went half, I'm going to raise.
It might take a lifetime of dedication to be able to marry those two things together.
Right. For some people, it's just...
Right. And for others, it's just okay to never bring the subconscious to the conscious, right?
Because now it's like, how much effort are you putting in for what reward?
Well, I'm just saying that like it might not be doable through effort, right? It just, sometimes it takes an aha moment that you could never script.
Just like epiphany-esque.
Yeah, like you just, don't get me wrong. Like obviously if you just keep putting yourself in scenarios to have the aha moment, maybe it's more probable, but it's not as simple as like, okay, I'm your coach now. And I believe that anybody can win at 2-5.
I have the sauce.
And I believe that you are one of the people who fall into that category. So what we're going to do is we're going to work on this, 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 and this. And we just beat our heads against the fucking wall for a year. And you never have the aha moment.
Right. Where like you just kind of plateau as you've reached your mental limit. But the person that's teaching has surpassed that and thinks that they can do that for you.
Yeah. I think, and we can end on this because I know we're just beating a dead horse at this point. But I think the notion of you can lead a man to water, but you can't, or you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force him to drink, is really applicable here in the sense that guidance can only take somebody so far. And, as an offshoot of that, hard work predicated off of that guidance can only get you so far as well. There has to be some underlying level of, subconscious competence or conscious competence that you build off of. If you don't have a dog in the background shouting at you to end the podcast, you're just going to go on forever.
Yes, they're going to start a war in a minute.
They are.
See them.
For sure. Rudy is just side-eyeing everything. But no, if you don't have that fundamental competency to build off of, you're really just like standing on quicksand where you feel like you're constantly sinking. And you might get a bunch of lifelines to pull you out and start over, but staying dedicated to the task is kind of a fool's errand, At some point, you just have to accept that where we're at and where we want to get to aren't necessarily going to be in line with our ultimate desires.
You're still not trying to be a pitcher, man.
Right. Would love the fucking pitch. At some point, you got to let it go.
Sometimes you just got to play softball with the boys.
Yeah. I'll go play softball on the weekends. Hell, I might even get back out and, play in a 40 and over league every now and again, strike some old motherfuckers out. And that might feel good, but I'm not Cy Young,
Your environment's Cy Young.
Not even.
You're Cy old.
Yeah. Based tortoise. Based fucking tortoise. All right, that's going to do it for us today. We are out of here, headed back to Vegas this evening. I believe we're going to be coming to you tomorrow evening for a late night pod. I'll confirm this evening whether or not I have a seat in Bobby's room or not. But thank you guys so much for joining us. If we are at 6 p.m., well, regardless of what time we are tomorrow, we're going to be joined by Matt Hunt, and we're going to be digging into a strat chat. So be sure to tune in tomorrow if you're looking for a lot more of the mechanics of poker. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you appreciate the conversation. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave some comments below. Let us know what you think about the debate between hard work and natural attributes. That's going to do it for us. We'll see you guys all tomorrow, 6 p.m.
Peace.
Peace.